I thought I was like this crazy lucky person who, you know, hormones don't really have that big of an effect on. It was all mind over matter and all of that stuff. Until I was on them for about 15 months. And you can see this in some of my earlier videos. I had to get surgery on my nose to correct deviated septum and a bone spur and collapsed valves and just all this crap that all happened right in here. Unfortunately, I had to go off of the hormones for 2 weeks prior to the surgery and 1 week after. The day that I was scheduled, the day before I was scheduled to have my surgery, Chicago experienced a gigantic blizzard. So it got delayed another 2 weeks. So at this point, I was off hormones for 5 weeks. Okay. Oh, of course, with the androgen blockers and the estrogen, my sexual function changed a lot. My physical response was different. My arousal was different. It was more generalized and less sort of focused on my crotch. And I didn't realize all of that. Well, I mean, some of that, of course, I learned along the way. But I hadn't really realized the drastic difference until I was off hormones for 5 weeks and the testosterone took back over. Because all of a sudden, it was like, I don't know, it was like being a teenager again. Much more responsive, and much more specifically responsive. It wasn't, there was a, like, sexually speaking, like arousal felt like more all over, like this glow, like this warm flush, you know, which was new. And I don't know how it is for other guys, but that was not my experience with arousal before. And then that went away when the testosterone took back over. Also, I was moodier then. I was more aggravated. I was more irritable for those 5 weeks, and for a little while after, as the hormones took control again. At the same time, though, I had just had surgery, so I was on painkillers and I was dealing with all this other stuff. So what I actually found most psychologically damaging was during that 5 weeks, my breasts shrank to like almost nothing, which was such a surprise to me. That was not at all what I had expected. So that hurt. Like, I had spent all this time growing them, and you know, all this time up to that fantasizing about having them, that to have them and then have them taken away hurt, you know. But I had to stop the HRT for medical reasons. So I got back on them, much to my relief, and sort of caught back up with myself and where I was before. I was feeling much more emotionally and psychologically full, like richer. I don't know how much of that was just a matter of having gotten into a new relationship and really becoming comfortable with who I am, as opposed to, you know, trying to discover who that person is. So I don't know about correlation versus causation until this past January. So I'm bi gender, and I started hormones, and I was never sure if I was going to stay on them. I thought maybe I would wait till I got the body that I wanted, and then I would, you know, cut down to a lower dose or something, just so that it wasn't, you know, this primary estrogen-based hormone schema. So to test that, I decided at the beginning of the year I would go, you know, off HRT for the month of January. I experienced a lot of the same stuff I had the February before. I was more irritable. My breasts went away, and that was just so psychologically painful. It was this sense of identity that was being taken away from me. You know, sexual response changed again. However, this time, the biggest difference was about 2 weeks into the month, when I really, like, basically I flushed, and I was back on, full strength T and all that stuff. My girlfriend and I had gotten into some stupid argument. I don't even know what it was about. All I know is I lost my shit. I just lost my mind. I didn't know who I was. And I felt so strong and violent and angry and just foreign to who I am, or who I think I am, who I want to be. I mean, obviously it's me doing it, right? But I got so mad over this stupid little thing. I kicked a door and punched it at the same time, and I put the doorknob smack through the wall, which I then had to repair. And I bruised my hand I bruised my hand such that it was still swollen and bruised a week later. That's when I realized hormones have effects. I mean, we're not talking like, I don't know, just change your voice if you're a trans guy, or just grow breasts, or just this physical stuff. It has all of this mental stuff that comes with it, and I hadn't realized how much, because it was gradual, The longer I was on E, the more, my emotions would sort of change in the way that they, I was able to experience them, and the effects that they had on me, and, frustration just brings me to tears now, so much, so quick. There's almost nothing that will make me cry faster than just feeling absolutely frustrated and unable to communicate and unable to accomplish, what I need to do because of all of these factors that are in my way. And those situations, those are all things that would make me furious before. However, I grew up with testosterone, so again, that was a gradual thing. When I became a teenager and my body became flooded with all of this T, teenage boys, they have the same thing. They have the same sort of roid rage, But because it's somewhat gradual, you learn how to interrupt it, how to get, you put in speed bumps in your own anger response so that, you don't lose your shit. At least, the good guys do. And you do this because anger has consequences, and it shuts off, conscious thought, and it makes you do things that you regret doing. So you learn how to deal with anger and how to short-circuit it and how to do all this stuff. Because the anger is strong from testosterone. And I don't know what it's like for trans guys. I've heard, anecdotal stories about their responses to T as well. But I know for me, for this little period, I changed completely. It was like night and day. And so that's what it taught me about, the effects that my HRT has on me, because it showed me who I could have been. It also showed me that at that point, just over 2 years of being on hormones, I had lost all of those speed bumps. I lost all of that programming that allowed me to short-circuit my anger. So it just exploded out of me, and and the consequences were I had a bruised, I thought maybe broken hand, and a wall to repair, So, it didn't, it made me so foreign to myself. It was like it was happening to somebody else, and it was like, I couldn't even see any of me in there at that time, at that moment. Plus the physical effects were just extremely discouraging. I like my breasts, and I like the way that my fat had started to redistribute, and I was getting nice hips and curves, and some of that I've not gotten back, and it's been 7 months, because I started again February 1st. So I decided that unless I have some very vital reason not to, I'm going to continue staying on HRT. And I think that's the right decision. I think that's best for who I am. I like myself better this way, you know? I should mention, too, that I did not stop taking my antidepressant in January. So it wasn't even just a matter of, you know, that kind of withdrawal. It was just the hormones, you know? Not proud of how I behaved, I should say, in that moment, and I really regret it. But it happened, and you know, anyone who tells you that hormones don't have an effect is lying to you. I feel like I have chosen, you know, by being on HRT, I've made a choice that puts me in control of my life, and it puts me in control of my body, and it puts me in control of my medical decisions and the things that happen to me, and the person that I am and want to be. Now, as far as like transition goes,